Ssenyonyi Extreme Media UJ. Subscribe for all updates.
From the opposition for taking a stand. There are things that we must be known for. There are things that we must do, and there are things that we mustn't do. And recently, we did take a stand against corruption and irregular payments to members of parliament. We chose to do it by signing a resolution that was passed in a meeting of the opposition caucus meeting to disassociate ourselves from this illegal payment, irregular, of 100 million shillings to members of parliament from the classified budget of State House, to reject it with all the contempt that it deserves. We challenged and continue to challenge the IGG to swing into action regarding this matter, and we're also challenging General Museveni to account for these classified expenses. And we are hoping that he will also release a full list of all of those who have been paid from this classified money of State House. As of this morning, 72 members of parliament from the opposition have signed, saying they are not party to this 100 million shillings cash bonanza. 72 is the total. One might ask, but there are a lot more opposition MPs than those. Well, like we are saying, this money was received not just by NRM MPs, but some who are friendly opposition, as they do call them. Maybe they will account for that particular issue. Why did we choose to sign? You see, signing this document is like taking an oath. When we got into parliament, we had to take an oath of allegiance. It's a public commitment that we make with the people of Uganda to say we are going to serve you without fear or favor. We shall be diligent in our service and in execution of our duties. Eventually, some people go against that oath. But it's important that you take that oath. That way, when you go against it, there is a yardstick by which you are being judged. People will say, but you took an oath not to be a thief. Why are you stealing? You took an oath to be a diligent servant leader. Why are you doing otherwise? So we have signed this document and these resolutions to make a public commitment, so that when tomorrow any evidence comes out against anyone who signed this, they'll only have themselves to blame. And I assure you, evidence is continuously coming. And so we have been telling colleagues, if you sign and yet you took the 100 million shillings, the day of reckoning is going to come. Again, like I've said, so those who have signed are the ones who are publicly saying they've not taken the 100 million shillings. Perhaps those who have not signed are saying maybe they took it and they need to account to the people of Uganda. Some have said, well, yes, even if I signed, but the money was taken. And they're saying some of those who have signed took the money. It's possible. But like we are saying, eventually it's going to catch up with them. On our end, we are saying, let's make a commitment. The same way we take an oath for the people of Uganda to know which side we are on. We are challenging also those who gave out this money. So the people who have signed here, they are challenging those who gave out the money. They are saying, we disassociate ourselves from your corruption and illegalities. So if you who gave out that money, you know that some of the people who have signed this document, because we are going to make these lists public, and some of the people you gave money to have signed, because they are saying we are not party to your corruption and confusion. So if you know that some of those who signed, you gave them that your money, please come out and expose them. That's the other essence of signing here. So that ultimately, we are able to have a stance taken. So it's important in that regard as well. Now, General Museveni in his letter, one confirmed that he gave 100 million shillings to members of parliament. He did, as we have said severally before, from classified to State House. His only problem with us in the opposition is that we are just focusing on the 100 million shillings alone. He says, why don't you also talk about money that comes into the country, from foreign agents and that kind of thing. So he's not denying the 100 million shillings, but he's saying, you in the opposition, why is your focus on just the 100 million shillings? Why are you not talking about money given by foreign agents? We are challenging you, General Museveni. If you have evidence against anyone who is receiving money from foreign agents or from whoever illicitly, expose them the same way we have exposed the 100 million shillings saga. Don't just go quarreling. I saw him write that letter. He was literally quarreling and quarreling. We are saying, no, don't talk too much. Do like we have done, because for us we have come out to expose the 100 million shillings saga. So instead of saying opposition, don't only talk about that, talk about also those who are receiving money from foreign funders and so on. If you have intelligence, you have evidence, expose those people. Because the last I checked, his government is the biggest consumer of money from foreign agents. You did see the Trump administration, which came out and made it very clear that this government of General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has over the years been receiving millions of dollars for many different things, including homosexuality, LGBT activities. That was said by the Trump administration, which, whose government has been sending money to this government of Uganda. So maybe they need to account for all of this money as well. So please don't talk too much. Just come out and expose those whom you are talking about, if you do have any evidence against them. Now, as we have stated clearly, this 100 million shillings was given out, one, to thank members of parliament for passing the coffee bill, and number two, to incentivize them to be able to amend the UPDF Act. And no sooner had we talked about that than the Prime Minister gave communication that part of the business for this week is the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2025. This is a statement statement of business by the lead of government business. Let me read it to you. Right Honourable Speaker, and this is, by the way, is a public document. All of us members of Parliament, we access it, and eventually you in the media. I hope members of Parliament, you received this. Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament, this was 10th April 2025, statement of business by the leader of government business. Rule 28 of the Rules of Procedure requires the leader of government business to make a statement in the House regarding the government business of the succeeding week. I'm therefore submitting the following government business for the succeeding week, 15th to 17th April 2025, this week. Number one, the Uganda People's Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2025. Number two, statement by the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development on the commemoration of the International Labour Day, signed by Nabanja Robina. So, it is clear, after members of Parliament have been oiled, then the amendment to the EPDF bill business commences, because their intent is to see that civilians continue to be tried illegally by the military courts, even after the Supreme Court came out clean. So you can see that we were right on the money. I want to call upon the public. Please don't exert pressure on you members of Parliament, saying, please pick this money, bring it to help us in our communities and so on. Theft is theft. Because if you are telling a member of Parliament, you pick that illegal money, bring it to us to deal with the situations in the constituencies. And look, there are many issues in our constituencies because government is absent. Healthcare, education, roads are in terrible state and so on. As an MP, they will call you for literally everything. And so there are pressures that we have as members of Parliament, yeah? But we are not going to fall into this trap to steal money so that we can meet the demands of our voters. No. Because then, shall we have the moral authority to challenge corruption by government? Because everyone who steals in government steals for a reason. They steal either to take their child to a good school, they steal to put up a business to help them as a family, some steal, yes, to give money to voters and so on. So should we also now be stealing so that we can meet the needs of the voters? Because these same voters who are putting you under pressure are the same ones who will call you out when you're caught in a corruption saga. So the public, please don't exert pressure on your MPs and colleagues. Let's not give in to these pressures, because wrong should be wrong. Besides, who is going to audit now that stolen money? That if you pick it, you go and do what you do in your constituency. How are you going to account for it? And to who? It doesn't make sense at all. Those who have been threatening to drag us to court, we have been waiting to be served. They have gone quiet, especially ever since General Museveni did come out to admit, because you saw some voices. We are going to take you people to court and all of that for telling lies about members of parliament. We are still waiting. We don't know if that's something you're still thinking about, because there is overwhelming evidence, including your leader coming out to concede to this matter. I have seen some excuses given by some members of the NRM saying, look, this money, the 100 million shillings was given to help MPs to monitor government programs. But how does that make sense? As members of parliament, part of our cardinal responsibility that we are paid for, as we keep the government in check, as we hold it accountable, is an oversight role. That's one of our cardinal responsibilities, to play an oversight role over all government programs. So how does it make sense then when somebody says, yeah, this corrupt money, it is to help MPs to go and monitor government programs. But that's why we are paid as members of parliament, to monitor all government programs. Why is this an exception? Why was it not passed properly? If you're saying 100 million shillings, which doesn't make sense also. Each parish is given 100 million shillings as parish development model. Now you're giving MPs 100 million shillings to go and monitor these 100 million shillings. And the 100 million shillings to the citizenry is meant to be refunded. The 100 million shillings given to members of parliament is a token. It's not meant to be refunded at all. I don't know how these things make sense to those that are justifying them. If it is proper money, you should have passed it within the law to say, okay, as we are passing 100 million shillings, PD per parish, let's also pass 100 million shillings to thank our MPs so that they go and do very wonderful work out there and that kind of thing. Why did you not bring it? Why is it being done through classified? And also, we are tasking government regarding classified expenditure. In the last 5 financial years, classified expenditure has amounted to 16.8 trillion Uganda shillings. In the last 5 financial years. That means every year, 3.3 trillion shillings is spent on classified. But how? And I saw General Museveni trying to, justify it and so on. Yes, every country can have classified, but it should be one commensurate to your resource envelope as a country. Number 2, it should be justifiable. Because if you're spending 3.3 trillion shillings on classified every year, this is money that is not to be accounted for. No one is being used to bribe MPs and do other things. Not to go out and do I don't know what. Because what war are we fighting? Even for South Sudan where we are, they came to parliament for a separate budget line. So it's not part of classified. In Somalia, in Congo, wherever we are and so on, there's a separate budget for all of those different things. So you cannot even say this classified, it helps to bolster our operations in South Sudan, in Congo, or wherever else. It does not make sense. This classified money is organized corruption. That's what it is. Because no one gets to audit it. And the public doesn't get to know. Of course, there's meant to be a small team auditing it, and it doesn't even audit it. That's the issue we do have with this classified. Let me translate what I have said into Uganda. And maybe afterwards, if there's 1 or 2 questions, we can take those questions. Anse nebaza Honorable Mwaga Kivumbi ataliiwo leero alina emirimu gy'akwasaganya olw'okubeerawo akaseera gesibaddeewo nekifo opposition whip naye abadde ali ku mirimu emirala emitongole naye emirimu gino sigala nga kitambula era kitwagala ekifaananyi kitwagala okusiigira bannaffe